Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I hadn't planned to do any videos this week with it being a holiday week, but I thought I would kind of just touch on some of the bigger topics that came out this week. And we're going to start with Microsoft and a PS5 Slim. We have the headline here from VGC. Microsoft expects Sony to launch a $400 PS5 Slim console this year. And this information is coming as part of the legal battle with the FTC and part of the documents that were published in that. And from that document it says, PlayStation likewise sells a less expensive digital edition for $39.99, and it is expected to release a PlayStation 5 Slim later this year at the same reduced price point. The Xbox maker also said it believes Sony is preparing to launch a PS5 Pro console. Now, I think that Pro console is expected later next year, but we'll concentrate here on the Slim model. And looking back at the documents, it also says PlayStation meanwhile currently offers two different versions of the PlayStation 5. One with a Blu-ray player for physical media and one without. And it is anticipated to release further differentiated Pro and Slim models in the future. Now, we've been hearing rumors about this Slim model for a while. Last year, Insider Gaming claimed that Sony was going to release the Slim model with a detachable disk drive, maybe sometime around September of this year. Now, I mentioned the Pro model earlier. Don't confuse this with the Slim. This is basically going to be the same capability as the current PlayStation 5, just in a slimmer model. And then you would be able to get a detachable drive to use your physical media, and I believe there was rumors that there would also be a bundle with the disk drive. And the drive is expected to connect to the system through USB-C. And considering games have to be installed on the system anyways, they don't run off of the Blu-ray disc anymore. You don't really have to worry about speed. It just basically needs to get the files copied onto the drive and then you're good to go. And then all you would need to do is have the disc in that external drive just to basically do a license check. And I talked about this before when this rumor first surfaced, and this makes a lot of sense to me. You'll be able to streamline your manufacturing, and that'll help cut costs, and you'll be able to offer just one product with an option for people who want to use their physical media. And going forward, say a PlayStation 6 comes out, you could potentially continue to use that drive to be able to have backward compatibility to play some of your older games. But I guess the question that I have left is, how much will that detachable drive cost? Because if it's just $50, you actually would save a bit over the current version of PlayStation 5 that has the disk drive built in. And then you have that added bonus. If the disk drive goes out, you can just go purchase another one. You don't have to have your system repaired. But let me know your thoughts. Do you like the idea of a detachable disk drive that can kind of just maybe sit on top or to the side of the unit? Or would you prefer the look of having the optical drive built into the system? Next, I wanted to touch a bit on this Switch 2 development kit leak that we've been seeing floating around, and I just kind of want to mention it, and then I'll probably move on from there. Now, this is coming from Nash Weedle, and this is a person who leaked the Metroid Dread information, so he seems to be legitimate. And you can see his tweet here, and I'm using Google Translate because I guess this is in Spanish. And it basically says the Switch 2 development kit has arrived in Spain. And then moving to the bottom of the translated tweet, it says this indicates that we are in the last phases prior to the presentation of the console. Now, what exactly does that mean timeline-wise? I'm not real sure. I mean, I don't think we're going to see anything announced before the holiday season. It makes the most sense to me for Nintendo to get past that season and try to sell as much as they can of the current Switch before announcing new hardware. But you never really know with Nintendo. They could perhaps announce new hardware and have it available in like November. But if you remember back to their forecast for this fiscal year, which would end in March 2024, they did tell their investors that the forecasted revenue did not include any new hardware. So that's why I kind of lean to a new Switch or Switch 2 or whatever not coming out till sometime after March 2024. But Nintendo could always adjust their revenue forecast and release something before the end of the calendar year. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think we're going to see the Switch's successor come out this calendar year, or do you think it may be sometime next fiscal year, say after March 2024? Next, Annapurna Interactive had a showcase late last week, and I kind of wanted to go over just a few of the announcements there. I'm not going to touch on everything, but there were a couple of announcements that I thought were interesting. And first, let's look at this one. We have Blade Runner 2033 Labyrinth, and this marks the first time that Annapurna Interactive is using their own in-house studio to develop. Now, there is no release date or window just yet, but it does say it's coming to consoles and PC. And then the other sort of big announcement is that we have Stray coming to the Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One on August 10th. However, I was surprised to see that there was no announcement for this game being on Game Pass, especially considering that it did appear on PS Plus day one, so I kind of thought it would come to Game Pass when it launched on the Xbox, but it is set to leave PS Plus on July 18th. So it sounds like they're just going to try to sell the game for a while, and who knows, maybe we might see it show up on Game Pass in a year or so. Right now, this is something I kind of want to play, but I really don't want to have to pay for it. So I'll probably hold out to see if it comes to Game Pass, or maybe if it goes on sale. Next, if you remember, Lord of the Rings Gollum came out about a month ago to pretty abysmal reviews. Well, the game was such a bad release that it looks like it may have just shut down the studio that made it. We have this headline from Gamatsu. Daedalic Entertainment shuts down internal game development to focus on publishing. So if you did get Lord of the Rings Gollum and were hoping to kind of have the game have some more content added in, you're pretty much out of luck. I wouldn't expect any additional content or any kind of patches for this game at all. And it's really such a shame because the idea for the game seemed to have a lot of potential, but as you can see from the headline, they laid off 25 people. So that doesn't sound like that's enough people really to develop a AAA title, but even a AA title would be a bit of a stretch. Now, the company was working on another Lord of the Rings game, and that development has been halted. And I do have to wonder if maybe their licensing was pulled after Gollum was so bad. But the company will continue to work as a publishing company. They're just not going to develop any more games, and that's probably for the best. Next, we have the latest games coming to Game Pass for the first half of July. And let's take a look at the list here. Available right now is Grand Theft Auto 5. So this game is making a return both for cloud and console. And also out today, we have Sword and Fairy Together Forever for cloud, console, and PC. And then on July 6th, we have McPixel 3 for cloud, console, and PC. And then on July 11th, we have Come On Hood for cloud, console, and PC. And we also have Insurgency Sandstorm for PC. And then on July 14th, we have Exoprimal, and this will be for cloud, console, and PC, available day one with Game Pass. And then finally, on the 18th, we have Tectonic, which is a game preview for cloud, console, and PC on day one, along with The Cave on cloud and console. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying out Exoprimal. I'm kind of mixed in what I've seen so far, so I definitely want to give this game a try and see how it is. But of course, every time we have games coming into Game Pass, we have some announced to leave, and not a whole lot leaving this month, and these are going out on July 15th. We have Exo 1 for Cloud Console and PC, and everybody's favorite Paw Patrol, the movie Adventure City Calls for Cloud Console and PC. And then finally, Spelunky 2 for Cloud Console and PC. Now, if there's any of these other than Paw Patrol that you know we all need to try, just leave a comment below and let us all know. And next we have a bit of an interesting announcement. You can see the headline here from Global News Wire. Atari announced a strategic collaboration with Polymega. Now this is the company that created the Polymega console, and that's that retro console where it has these different modules that you can swap out to, like, say, put in an NES cartridge or maybe a Super Nintendo cartridge. Now the article says that the partnership will provide support for Atari games on Polymega hardware and software, and integration between Polymega and the Atari VCS. So what exactly does that mean? Well, you can see here from the article, the Atari VCS will add support for the Polymega app and the Polymega Remix add-on. This will effectively provide all of the functionality of a Polymega console to Atari VCS owners. Now, if you remember back a few months ago, Polymega announced that they would be making a Polymega app which would give you all the features of the hardware console, basically a software version of the Polymega that you can run on your own hardware. And they also announced the Polymega Remix add-on, which would allow you to use those different modules with your own hardware. So with this announcement, it looks like the people who bought an Atari VCS will have a reason to blow the dust off, because you'll basically be able to turn your VCS into a Polymega. Now you'd still have to buy that remix adapter in order to use the different modules to play the actual cartridges or discs. But if you're wanting to go that route, they also announced this, you can see here, in addition, a new cartridge module will be developed that will add Atari 2600 and Atari 7800 compatibility to the Polymega console. The addition of this cartridge module will make Atari 2600 and 7800 games more accessible to retro enthusiasts and expand the market for Atari's line of collectible game cartridges. So you could, in a sense, play Atari 2600 physical carts on the Atari VCS through the Polymega app with a Polymega Remix and the 2600 cartridge adapter. And as part of this announcement, they also stated that Atari-owned games would be sold in Polymega's storefront. So those games that were developed by Atari, if you have a Polymega, you would be able just to purchase them digitally on their store. So this sounds like a pretty good announcement here. Maybe if you can find an Atari VCS on clearance, it might be worth trying out. It's probably cheaper than a Polymega, and it would give you a dedicated system to play some of your old retro games on. Next, we have Wave 5 officially announced for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, this wave will be releasing on July 12th, and it'll be the Feather and Cherry Cups, and the courses are going to be Koopa Cape from Mario Kart Wii, Los Angeles Laps from Mario Kart Tour, Moonview Highway from Mario Kart Wii, Squeaky Clean Spirit, which is a new track, but it's probably coming to Tour as well. And then we have Athens Dash for Tour, then Daisy Cruiser from Mario Kart Double Dash on the GameCube, and then we have Sunset Wilds, which is from Mario Kart Super Circuit from the Game Boy Advance, and then finally Vancouver Velocity from Tour. And to go along with this, we have some new characters coming. We have already had Birdo announced in a previous wave. We also have PD Piranha, along with Wiggler and Kamek. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying out these new tracks when they come out on the 12th. And remember, if you're subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online Plus Expansion Pack, you get all of these included. So let me know in the comments which track you're looking forward to trying. I really don't play Mario Kart Tour, so I look forward to trying some of these tracks out. And in the past, most of those tracks have been some of the better ones. They definitely seem to have like a lot of different paths you can take. And then some of the tracks that are getting re-released, sometimes they make some changes to them from how they were originally. So I look forward to trying those out as well. And then finally, we have the latest Famitsu sales coming out of Japan, and we'll look first here at the software sales. And taking the top spot, we have a new game, Master Detective Archives Rain Code. And then at number 5, we still have Final Fantasy 16 holding in there. And Tears of the Kingdom actually finally dropping down to 3rd place. And then at 4, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And then another new game, we have Ghost Trick Phantom Detective. And at number 6, another new entry, 9 RIP. And then at number 7, we have Minecraft, followed by Nintendo Switch Sports. And then another new entry, Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. And then finally we have Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is not new, but I think it's got a misprint here on the end. And looking back at that first place entry, Master Detective Archives Rain Code. Now this is an adventure game that was written by Kazutaka Kodaka. At least I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. And he was the original writer and creator for the Danganronpa series. So you might get an idea of what this game is like, even though they said they tried to make it a bit different. Now let's look over at the hardware sales. We have the Switch OLED model coming in first, followed by the disc version of the PlayStation 5. And then the other two Switches, the Switch and the Switch Lite at 3 and 4, and then the digital edition of the PlayStation 5 at number 5. And then the PlayStation 4 taking back the 6th spot here over top of the Xbox Series S and X. And if we flip over to our updated graph of sales, you can see the Switch is just about flat. It had a little bit of an increase in sales, but not much. But the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox both took a dive from last week. And I'm not surprised to see the drop in those systems. We had Diablo 4 come out and kind of boosted the sales for both of them. And then Final Fantasy 16 came out and that pushed the PlayStation 5 up even further. So now we're kind of coming back down after those big game releases. And that's all we have for this week. I know there's a lot covered here, but let me know if there's anything that caught your attention by leaving a comment below. And if you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. It really does help out the channel quite a bit. And on a side note, if you're still listening to this video or watching the video, whichever you may do, you're probably more invested in my channel than most. Looking through the analytics of my channel, a lot of people tend to just watch the part that the thumbnail and the title were kind of marketed toward. So I've considered breaking these videos up into smaller ones. Let me know if you have any thoughts on that. Would you prefer maybe 3 or 4 smaller videos? Or do you kind of like this format? My original thought was just to kind of cover all the news articles of the day, but it seems like a lot of times if people are interested in a story like that Polymega story, they're not really going to see that in the thumbnail and probably aren't going to click the video. Now on the back end, it may mean I'll have to do a bit more work because I'll have to do separate videos with separate uploads and thumbnails and descriptions. But overall, I think it might be worth it to kind of get a little more traction. But if you are still listening or watching, whatever the case may be, I do want to thank you for watching and be good.